Major funding for this program was made possible by UPMC. Thank you.
I think when you come to Pittsburgh, you come there whatever age you come at, whether you're 11, whether you're 21 or 20, as I was getting players, you recognize that people appreciate passion, grit, determination, hard work, humility. I go back to a guy like Hines Ward to me. Came from Georgia, third-round pick, 1998. I drafted 2 more receivers in 99 in the first round, 2000 in the first round. Him coming up to me and saying, "You don't believe in me, do you? Like, why you keep drafting receivers?" And consequently, I built a chip on his shoulder. And I just wonder with Ming-Na Wen, when she came here, what did she experience? It's called my rapid fire to find out if you really are a true Yinzer. This is not being about the story. This is just being a true Yinzer. Number 1, your favorite Pittsburgh food.
Oh, Permane. except for my Permane Brothers or Chinatown Inn's food, right?
I know.
The egg rolls at the Chinatown Inn.
Okay, how about this one? Okay, here's your first word or phrase that you think of when you meet someone from Pittsburgh.
Oh, well, where you grew up.
So like, how about downtown?
Oh, downtown.
How about Yinzer?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, always Yinzer.
And were you?
Nobody understands Yinzer. I don't even know where it comes from. Why do we say Yinzer?
Because Yins. If Yins are there, like that's not you guys. It's Yins.
I know.
I know. I don't know why, but that's
like we crazy.
I know.
But see.
Who or what inspired you the most during your time in Pittsburgh in terms of you wanting your model? What inspired you the most?
You know, I had an amazing high school teacher, and she's still a dear friend of mine from Mount Lebanon.
Yeah.
And she taught Latin. Like, that's how much of a nerd I was. I switched from taking Spanish class to Latin because I loved her so much.
Wow.
And I call her my cheerleader mom because, you know, having a Chinese mom, a lot of times, number 1, she was busy working at the restaurant all the time, right? And then number 2 is that the Chinese parents typically don't get as involved with their kids, especially my mom's generation and my dad's generation. So she was always my cheerleader mom. And to this day, she still is. Like, she just always rallies me. Like, she was my coach in a way, you know?
That's awesome.
And her name is Judy Hulick. Hi, Judy. Love her to death. Yeah, she was a big influence.
That's awesome. Let's just go back. You were just talking about your parents and mom. You started in China, went to Hong Kong, came to New York at the age of 5. And then at the age of 11, you came to Pittsburgh, right?
Yes.
And moved into the Mount Lebanon area. Your stepdad's
very diverse. I must say.
Very diverse. But your stepdad's father. It was not. Your stepdad's father owned Chinatown Inn, right? Opened up Chinatown Inn.
Yeah. My father's father.
Yeah.
And he's my stepfather.
Okay.
So when my mother remarried, we moved to Pittsburgh. And to go from Hong Kong to New York to Pittsburgh to white suburbia, it couldn't have been more of a cultural shock,
right, for
a little Asian girl, you know, and having a very Chinese name, you know, you get made fun of, you're isolated a lot, you have to like find a way to fit in, and it was tough. It was tough. Getting adjusted.
Did you work at the Chinatown Inn when you first got there? Were you working down there?
Of course, yeah.
Were you like
Of course. Yeah, I mean, you know, right. Aren't all Pittsburghers, all Yinzers,
workers?
We're laborers, we're workers, man. And so you know, every weekend I'm at the restaurant, and in fact, we used to live upstairs.
Wow.
There used to be a living quarters upstairs, so I would just come down to the restaurant a lot in the beginning before we moved to Pittsburgh.
I remember reading about the fact that really when your stepdad came to Pittsburgh to help run the inn, that he was like a steward for people that came, that immigrated into there. He was like a beacon for them to understand what the opportunity was about and to be kind of a source of inspiration, right?
Right. No, they had an association. They had a community there, to help support each other because most of them didn't speak the language. Yeah. Most of them, had to. It's like the true immigrant story of how you bring people in from China and be able to house them. That there was another building next to our restaurant that would oftentimes house them and get them established, and a lot of traditions were established there. And we fed a lot of people over the, 40, 50 years?
Yeah.
60 maybe at this point.
Yeah. And,
I forget how old I am.
But what was amazing about that is the fact that you went to Mount Lebanon, which ironically enough, through the course of these 6 people I'm talking to, 3 people went to Mount Lebanon. I talked to Mark Cuban and down to sit down with him.
Oh, Mark, yes, what an alum.
Right?
Yeah, wow.
And Joe Manganiello, who I've talked to.
Absolutely.
Joe, and so,
Joe's
as a matter of fact, you and Joe have this same love of sci-fi. So is this with your Latin teacher, or is this something you guys all kind of
We
push?
Actually both share the love for Judy, our Latin teacher.
Do you really?
There's nothing more fun than finding, this big statuesque, muscular man, and he's a complete nerd. It's so good. It's so good. He's like such a great example of the image of what a nerd is. I love it.
So your love of that really takes you back to then your love of Star Trek, right? You mean following Star Trek as a sci-fi?
Right. I used to be, Star Wars. I mean, the Force was like my religion. I used to pray, I still do actually. I used to pray like, dear God, Buddha, and the Force when I was a little girl.
Wow.
I covered every corner,
That's awesome.
And I still do. Whenever I get on a plane, I still pray to all 3. Yeah.
I know.
Huge nerd.
I don't know about that, but your love of theater then took you really to Carnegie Mellon. Is that why you went there, first of all, because your love of theater and what that provided for you? Well,
it's, I did a summer program there, and I loved the campus, and I loved the classes. And so when I applied for schools, I really only applied to one, because I figured it had a good drama program, and I was positive that once I graduated, I was never going to move back to Pittsburgh, because I wanted to explore the world. I wanted to be out there. And so Carnegie Mellon afforded me 4 more years to be with my parents and to hang out with them. So when I auditioned for Carnegie Mellon, I was such an idiot. I didn't even realize that they had to accept me. I had good SAT scores. I just figured I'm going to get accepted. Yeah. I had no idea. So I only applied to Carnegie Mellon. So if I hadn't gotten into their program for drama, I would have been, I don't know what I would have done. Did you know that I was the first female trainer at my Mount Lebanon High School?
I did not know that.
For the Blue Devils?
You were?
I was. It was the only way to get into the boys' locker room, apparently.
You were the first girls trainer, assistant trainer. How many years were you there?
I was just there for our senior year. And it was just fortuitous because I took a health class over the summer to get rid of the credit. And Mr. Jones, we just bonded in some way. And, and being a Chinese too, it was either going to be acting or medical school, right? Yeah. So he's like, why don't you just come and
So were you for the football team?
Check out being a trainer.
A trainer for
football? Yeah, I rapped. I was a good ankle rapper.
So you taped ankles?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Nitty gritty.
And the boys had to learn to come in with their towels now.
I
because I had no idea. I had no idea I was going to be in the boys' locker room.
So did you like football back then? Was that something that you used to watch?
Yeah. I mean, you know, the Steelers were such a big team, and the Pirates. I mean, that one year when we won both.
Right.
What was it? Like
1980 or 79, 80,
yes,
I think.
Maybe 70. Yeah, like
the Pirates,
we are family. We are family.
Yeah, right.
You know, it was like huge.
Right.
So and you know, and the Steelers, like Mean Joe Green and Lynn Swan,
yes,
like they used to all eat at our restaurant.
Right. Wow.
Because Three River Stadium was downtown. So yeah. So it was hilarious, though, being this little Chinese girl wrapping ankles. I even dated a couple of football players. You know, pretty cool.
That's awesome. So then you go, okay, so you go to camp, you go to Carnegie Mellon, and you play a trumpeter when a King Friday play. Is that what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
for
Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
For Mr. Rogers.
Did you ever meet Fred Rogers?
Yeah. I mean, and I'm so bummed, you know, that I didn't bring a camera. I didn't think that we were allowed. And I don't think anyone at the studio took pictures of us. So all I do have is me with King Friday, really, you know, because we were in the land of make-believe. We were the King Friday's trumpeteers. But yeah, I got to meet Mr. Rogers, and he is exactly the same.
Fred Rogers,
as you. Oh, my gosh. What a human being, huh?
I mean, iconic, right? I mean, just everything about him. I mean, just
iconic.
So so you leave Carnegie Mellon, and your first big breakthrough was Joy Love Club?
It was actually for film, yes.
Yes.
But before that, I was doing a lot of theater, off-Broadway theater, and then my big break was getting a regular role in As the World Turns.
So I got to share with you that my wife remembers the scene when you come to the door and tell the man that I'm your long lost daughter. And so she was watching it at the time. She was watching it at the time. When I told her, she goes, "Oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this." And I said, "Okay." And so we watched this scene. I've watched that many times. And
with the bangs. I had the full-on bangs. Yeah. Well, I remember reading Amy Tan's novel, and I clearly remember that it was the first time I felt seen. Yeah. You know, it was the first time I felt like I wasn't alone in my Asian American experience and upbringing, and that a lot of the little nuances that she would throw in, whether it was a saying or how you related to your parents.
Yeah.
You know, we not only had a generational gap, we had a cultural gap. And so to be able to merge that and bring all these beautiful stories, you know, to life. I mean, my mother's life was one of the moms from the Joy Luck Club, you know, leaving, you know, China and then being a single mother. I mean, she had a lot of struggles, and, you know, her example as a strong woman, I think, helped me to really persevere in this business, and to also be able to bring a lot of that energy and force into a lot of these characters, you know, these kick-ass roles that I get to play.
And you are a kick-ass actress. And I think about, I saw an interview that you did, honestly, that you talk about one of the moments that was really moving for you was the fact you saw Luke Skywalker looking at this binary sunset, and the thought process going through his head is, will I ever leave this landscape? And you talked about that as we started this conversation about the fact that, you know, I'm in Pittsburgh, I'm seeing all these things, but I want to get out of here. There's more to life than just here, right?
Absolutely. Wow. Damn, you do your homework, man. That's amazing that, you know, but I mean, I'm sure like you, when you were playing football, when you were, right? Like you had that dream of the Super Bowl.
Yes.
You had like, how crazy is that to manifest those childhood dreams and you're actually sitting in it and being part of, like, I just remember like when I finally got the role, you know, talking to Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni about it, and And I was so excited, and the costume was amazing. We did this intricate hairdo because I figured, okay, I get one episode and then my character dies, which really sucks, but okay, I'm going to make the best of it. My dream to be in a Star Wars project is coming true. And I walk on this set, Bill, and I see a rock. And that's all that was on this set. It was a piece of rock and some sand. And I'm like, this is it? It's like, it's worse. I'm like, this is worse than a 99-seat theater, No. And then they turned on this thing that I hadn't ever experienced. And, now it's normal now, right? But it was called the volume, which was the LED screen that surrounds us completely, like 360. And they turned on all the lights, and then there I was transported to Tatooine, and with the binary sunset.
Yeah.
I mean, I get goosebumps just thinking about that. I mean, it must be like you being in that Super Bowl moment, right?
Yeah,
like you're just wow.
And I got to share. I'll share a story with you. I said, it was '97, and I was like 6 years in, so I had a chance to do a movie with Adam Sandler called The Water Boy. So I go down there, it's a cameo appearance I have. I had a couple lines in it, which I'm still getting some residuals today, which is kind of cool. But I have this line. So I get down to this steakhouse the night before, and I'm going to shoot that day and then go back the next day. And so we're in there, and I got Adam Sandler on one side, and I got Henry Winkler on the other side. I'm going, this is like growing up in Pittsburgh, like, this is really cool. Happy Days, the Fonz. So Adam Sandler goes, hey, Coach, you're going to go back with Henry because he's staying at the Alias like you are at this hotel, so no one knows you're here. I go, okay, great. So, and I go, Henry, so Henry gets in the car. He goes, I'm driving. I go, okay. We're driving. I'm in the front seat. We hit this stoplight. I look over and I go, oh my God, I'm in a car with the Fonz. I said, can you just pull out really quick one time? And I can just say, I just burned some rubber with the Fonz down in Florida. I always go back to thinking that little boy from Crafton. I grew up there, and would I be here today? I never lost sight of where I came from. And it was like the grit, the determination, the passion you had, yet the humility and hard work that you knew that you put into it. Do you ever have those moments of reflection?
Always, always.
Do you think about your time? Do you think about your time working in maybe the kitchen at Chinatown Inn, or?
Well, it's to this day, like everything that at the time when you're in it, right? All you want to do is get out, right? You don't really appreciate the moments and the lessons that all these experiences when you're a child, how it's feeding you, right? They're little gifts that you open up later in life, and you realize, wow, that was a gift.
Yeah.
Because I learned from the restaurant about business.
Yeah.
Like, now a lot of times I think that I'm the restaurant, and then my managers and my agents, they're like the cook, the other waiters, they're the people that help to keep
they're the team.
This business going.
Yeah.
My hair and makeup team, like, it's teamwork. And the restaurant business inherently gave me all those lessons every single day that I was working there, and gave me the work ethic of working hard and, long hours. And I do reflect back on all that, because even though at the time I was growing up with all these adults in the restaurant, I was learning a lot from them without even realizing it. Yeah.
And you came back. How often do you get back to Pittsburgh?
I don't go back as often as I used to, because now my mom lives in Vegas, so I visit her there. But I am thinking about going back to do some video segments in the restaurant, because I just have a cookbook that just got launched. It's in pre-order stage.
Okay.
And it's funny, that food is another thing that I think has molded me and created a lot of things, my passion, whatever it is that I am. Both my parents were chefs, and we were always, they were foodies before I think that term became a thing.
Right.
And so this cookbook is sort of like my journey through food, you know, from the days with my mom in Hong Kong to being in Pittsburgh with the restaurant to the food that I cooked as a single woman and then with my family. And so I want to go back and just really sort of like visit that part of my life.
What was it like coming back in 2023 to take the terrible towel? What was that like?
Insane, you know. I got to meet the Rooneys, and they were the nicest human beings in the world. I got to like see myself on the Jumbotron and all the fans screaming, and it was a very hyper moment. You know, I brought a bunch of my family, and damn, you guys are big, man. When you're on the floor, when you're on that AstroTurf, oh dang, you guys just look like I don't know, otherworldly. You know, all Iron Men, really. Like guys were all Iron Men with those helmets and the shoulder pads.
The funniest thing
the
is
fans were great.
You wore Heinz Ward jersey.
Yeah, because. You know, he was one of the he broke that glass ceiling a bit for Asian American athletes, right? He was iconic and such a symbol for all of us. You know, we have so many more Asians in all various sports of athletes, whether it's the Olympics but you know, it's for football specifically. You know, you don't think of an Asian dude in there, and also it was the year I graduated from Carnegie Mellon, so it kind of like
86.
Really, it was like it was such a good number. It was like a really good number. Yeah.
There was no one epitomized the Pittsburgh Steeler more than Heinz Ward. His work ethic, his passion, playing with a chip on his shoulder, his humility, his love for the game, and he never forgot where he came from. I saw that. And I talked about that because to me, you do epitomize that. You are an inspirational story. Whether you want to be or not, and I know you're this cool chick from Mount Lebanon who taped ankles and worked in a restaurant, I get that. But you're a very special lady who's got a special something inside of her. And I wanted to say thank you to I raised 3 daughters, and you are an inspiration to them. And so I mean that, and you are, you know, what you're able to accomplish. You're kind of chip on the shoulder, like, okay, there's not a barrier I can't break, but you never forgot where you came from. You never forgot the sacrifice other people have made. But let me ask you this question: what advice would you give to your own kids or someone today who's in Carnegie Mellon, who would say, "How can I be like Ming-Na Wen? Like, I want to be like her." What would you tell them today?
I tell people, you know, if you're going to take away me as an inspiration or as an example, you have to live a life where you don't make excuses for yourself. You know, you don't say, oh, it's because I'm too short, or I'm Asian, or oh, I'm a woman, or like, don't make excuses. Don't put obstacles and barriers in front of you, because you're going to have them anyways. So why add to that and build the wall even higher for you to climb? Like, just don't make excuses. You know, if you want to dream and you want to follow and you want to achieve something, you just got to go after it. You just got to really believe that you can do it. And if you're going to make excuses, that's just your way of copping out, you know?
I love it.
Can I tell one more story before we go?
Please.
So I remember at Carnegie Mellon, I was constantly relegated, like smaller roles, like I never got the leads or stuff. And that was starting to piss me off a bit, you know? So I went and had a meeting with the head of the drama department, Mel Shapiro, God bless him, dearest man. And I said, you know, hey, Mel, so what's going on? Like, you know, my mom's hard-earned dollars deserve to give me the same education as some of my classmates who are getting all these like bigger parts and stuff. And he told me, and I'll never forget it, because that's I'll prove to you that, you know, you're wrong. He said, well, you know, that's what's going to happen in the real world, Ming.
Oh.
I know.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay.
So that's, so I'll never forget that. And I said, okay, well then I need bigger roles so that I get a stronger education so that it prepares me for that bigger obstacle that I have to face when I go out into the real world.
Yeah.
Now I still never got like the big leads.
Yeah.
Like I was never a Juliet, but at least I wasn't a spear holder.
Either. And those words were echoing in the back of your head.
To this day.
To this day.
It was so much fun talking to Coach Cowher. I didn't think that we would have so much in common. Who would have thought? He is an amazing interviewer. I've had so many, and for him to be so knowledgeable and able to ask me about my life right off the top of his head, insane. I don't know, these football players, they might get their head knocked up a little bit, but he is all brain and not just brawn. I loved my experience, just talking about my upbringing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Being in Yinzer, it's sort of like my grounding foundation. And it's really nice to be able to reflect back on that and recognize how much it did mold me and make me the badass that I am today. But still a nerd. Cheers. I got little ears. I would never make it as one of those Secret Service agents. On Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we're always doing this whenever we're pretending that we have an earpiece. I'm like, where's the earpiece? Is it glued inside our eardrum? Why are we doing this?
Say